Now, in the last hour, Blackpool Football Club have unveiled a statue of one of their great strikers of the past. Stan Mortensen scored more than 200 goals for the club and famously got a hat-trick in the 1953 FA Cup final. Well, we're going to go live now to Bloomfield Road and join Dan Walker. There he is. Dan.
Yes, good evening, Gordon. Welcome to Blackpool. You can see behind me the Mortensen stand. That's to commemorate, of course, the great Stan Mortensen, as you mentioned. But after £25,000 was donated by the Blackpool people, they now have this as well, a bronze life-size statue unveiled in the last hour. And the fact that this was all paid for by the people of Blackpool tells you how highly he was regarded off the pitch. And on the pitch, he was also rather special. Modern strikers are judged on their goals to games ratio. The very best score one every 2 games they play. You don't need a degree in maths to work out that Stan Mortensen's 222 goals in 345 games for Blackpool set him apart from the run-of-the-mill striker. His status as a legend was cemented when he became the first person to score a hat-trick at the FA Cup final in 1953. Remembered as the Matthews final for Sir Stanley's contribution, it was Mortensen that scored the goals that saw Blackpool come from 3 down to beat Bolton. Now, 14 years after his death and following 18 months of fundraising, there is a lasting monument to the man known as Morty.
Blackpool Football Club, town of Blackpool, were his life. And if he were here to see a statue put here like that, there'd be no living with him because it would be absolutely full of it. Of all the honours he's had in football, this would have superseded anything that's ever happened to him.
Mortensen made his name on the international scene, scoring 4 on his England debut, and went on to bag an incredible 23 goals in 25 games. But his heart belonged to Blackpool. He once auctioned his medals to help the club out of financial difficulty, and after leaving as a player, he returned to manage the Seasiders in 1967. Organisers are hoping the statue will cement Mortensen's legacy as a man remembered in Blackpool as fondly for what he did off the pitch as the magic he produced on it. Well, now underneath the statue I'm joined by 2 greats of the game, Jimmy Armfield, OBE, and of course one of the best footballers ever, Sir Tom Finney. Jimmy, first of all, thank you very much for joining us. You played with Stan, you played underneath him as a manager here as well. What are your enduring memories of the man?
Well, he was unusual in the respect, that he was dynamic. He was the town hero. I said in our glory days, what you might say the 20 years after the war, that Stanley Matthews was like the talisman, but Stan Mortensen was the town hero, and I think that's shown by the way people have sort of rallied round to get this statue. He was a great opportunist, brave, fast, and tremendously funny. He used to open the dressing room door in the morning, and he'd just say, "Never fear, Morty's here." And the whole day relaxed from there, That was Morty, he was terrific.
And Sir Tom, he scored 23 goals in 25 England games. That is a record which stands the test of time, isn't it?
Well, it's a fantastic record. I mean, especially in international soccer. There's very, very few players today that we can look upon as anywhere near as good as Stan, really, as a goal scorer.
Do you think he'd survive in the modern game as well?
Positively would. People have often said that to me and about great players like Stan Matthews and Stan Mortensen, and I've said, well, they would just be as good today as they were in those days.
Jimmy, he seemed to be such a great man of the people. I think he could teach the modern football professional a thing or two about action on and off the pitch, couldn't he?
Well, it's hard to compare, as Tom says, to yesterday and today. We all have our day. We all have our day and we all do our thing during our day. But he was a great humanitarian. He did a lot for charity. He did a lot for the people. He wasn't just a great footballer. He was a great man. And I think that's really what this is about.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Get inside. I know it's very, very cold. Enjoy the game as well. Now, for one of the